The Galactic Stage, humanity's first steps. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, humanity had long dreamed of reaching the stars. As the 22nd century dawned, those dreams became a reality. The discovery of the Alcubierre drive, a revolutionary propulsion system that could bend space-time itself, marked the beginning of a new era for Earth. Dr. Ilara Chen, the brilliant physicist behind the breakthrough, stood before a sea of reporters on a crisp autumn morning in 2103. Her dark eyes sparkled with excitement as she announced, "Today, we stand on the precipice of a new frontier. The Alcubierre drive will carry us beyond our solar system, to worlds we've only imagined." Within a decade, the first interstellar colony ships departed Earth, carrying the hopes and dreams of millions. New Eden, a lush garden world orbiting Proxima Centauri, became humanity's first extrasolar home. As holographic images of the first colonists setting foot on alien soil were broadcast back to Earth, cheers erupted in every city across the globe. But humanity's rapid expansion didn't go unnoticed. In 2126, as the fifth wave of colony ships prepared to depart Earth's orbit, an alien vessel appeared at the edge of the solar system. The ship, sleek and crystalline, dwarfed anything humanity had built. For weeks, it hung silently in space, observing. Then, without warning, it vanished. The event, dubbed the Silent Contact, sent shockwaves through human society. Governments scrambled to increase military spending, fearing an imminent invasion. But Dr. Chen, now head of Earth's newly formed Interstellar Relations Committee, urged caution. "We mustn't let fear guide our actions," she declared in an impassioned speech to the United Nations. "This is an opportunity for diplomacy, for learning. We've dreamed of meeting alien life for centuries. Now that dream is real." Her words resonated with many, but others remained skeptical. Among them was Admiral Marcus Donovan, a decorated veteran of the Mars Uprising. "We can't afford to be naive," he warned in closed-door meetings. "If they're advanced enough to reach us, they're advanced enough to destroy us." As debates raged on Earth, humanity's colonies continued to grow. New Eden thrived, its population swelling to over 1 million within 2 decades. Other worlds followed: the mining outpost on Enceladus, the research stations orbiting Sirius, the terraforming project on Gliese 667c. Each success bolstered humanity's confidence. In 2145, everything changed. A distress signal reached Earth from New Eden. The message, fragmented and distorted, spoke of an attack. Strange ships had appeared in orbit, raining destruction on the colony. Then, silence. The loss of New Eden united humanity like never before. Old rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources. The largest fleet in human history was assembled, a mix of hastily armed civilian ships and military vessels. At its head was the UES Defiant, Earth's first true warship, commanded by none other than Admiral Donovan. As the fleet prepared to depart, Dr. Chen addressed the crew. "You carry with you the hopes of every human being," she said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "Whatever you find out there, remember this. We are one people, one species, united in our quest for knowledge and our will to survive." The journey to Proxima Centauri took months, even with the Alcubierre drive. When the fleet finally arrived, they found New Eden in ruins. The once verdant world was scared by plasma burns and orbital bombardments. But amid the destruction, there were signs of hope. Pockets of survivors had managed to hold out in underground bunkers. As rescue operations began, the Defiant sensors detected an anomaly at the edge of the system. A massive object was approaching at impossible speeds. Admiral Donovan ordered the fleet into defensive formation, prepared for the worst. But what emerged from the depths of space wasn't an enemy armada. It was a single ship, larger than any the humans had ever seen. Its surface shimmered with patterns of light that seemed almost alive. As it drew near, a message was broadcast on all frequencies. "People of Earth, we are the Galactic Confederacy. We have been watching your progress with great interest. The attack on your colony was not sanctioned by any civilized race. We offer our deepest condolences and our aid in rebuilding. It is time for humanity to join the greater galactic community. Will you accept our invitation?" Admiral Donovan and his officers exchanged bewildered looks. This was far beyond anything they had prepared for. But as the silence stretched on, Dr. Chen's voice came through on a secure channel from Earth. "Admiral," she said, her tone filled with a mix of awe and determination, "this is the moment that will define our species. The choice is yours, but remember, we came to the stars not just to survive, but to thrive, to learn, to grow, to become more than we were. Whatever you decide, Earth stands with you." Donovan took a deep breath, straightened his uniform, and opened a channel to the alien ship. "This is Admiral Marcus Donovan of the United Earth Fleet," he began, his voice steady. "On behalf of humanity, we accept your invitation. Let this be the beginning of a new era for us all." As the transmission ended, a cheer went up throughout the fleet. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they would face them united, driven by the same spirit that had carried them to the stars. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of an adventure that would reshape the galaxy itself, the rise of the Stellar Confederacy. The decades following humanity's induction into the Galactic Confederacy were a whirlwind of progress and adaptation. Earth's governments, once fragmented, united under the banner of the Terran Alliance. This new political entity represented humanity's interests on the galactic stage, with Dr. Ilara Chen serving as its first ambassador to the Confederacy. The Galactic Confederacy itself was a loose coalition of spacefaring races, each at various stages of technological and social development. The eldest and most influential were the Aetheri, a race of energy beings who had transcended physical form millennia ago. It was they who had extended the invitation to humanity, seeing in the young species a potential they hadn't witnessed in eons. Admiral Donovan, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, oversaw the integration of human technology with that of the Confederacy. The exchange of knowledge was staggering. Humanity gained access to advanced medical techniques that nearly doubled the human lifespan, energy systems that solved Earth's climate crisis, and propulsion technology that made the vast distances between stars seem trivial. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Some alien races viewed humans with suspicion or outright hostility. The Volith, a warrior race with a rigid caste system, saw humanity's rapid advancement as a threat to their position within the Confederacy. Diplomatic incidents and border skirmishes became increasingly common. In 2170, tensions reached a boiling point. A Volith battle fleet, acting without the sanction of the Confederacy, launched a surprise attack on the human colony of Nova Terra. The colony's defenses, bolstered by Confederacy technology, held out long enough for reinforcements to arrive. The battle that followed was the largest humanity had ever participated in. Fleet Admiral Donovan, commanding from the bridge of the UES Intrepid, showcased humanity's tactical brilliance. Using a combination of unconventional maneuvers and newly developed weapon systems, the human fleet not only repelled the Volith attack, but captured several of their ships intact. The aftermath of the Battle of Nova Terra marked a turning point. The Confederacy, impressed by humanity's resolve and ingenuity, granted Earth a seat on the High Council. Ambassador Chen's impassioned speech before the Council became legendary. "We come before you not as conquerors, not as victims, but as partners," she declared. "Humanity has faced extinction many times in our history, yet we have always emerged stronger. We bring to this Confederacy not just our technology or our resources, but our indomitable spirit. Together, we can forge a future brighter than any of us could achieve alone." Her words resonated throughout the Confederacy. Many races, particularly the younger ones, began to look to humanity as an example of what could be achieved in a short time. Human literature, art, and philosophy spread across the stars, sparking a cultural renaissance. But with greater influence came greater responsibility. The Terran Alliance found itself mediating disputes between alien races, contributing forces to peacekeeping missions, and taking a leading role in scientific endeavors. The Confederacy's shipyards began producing vessels of human design, prized for their versatility and innovative features. In 2185, a startling discovery was made. A joint human aetheri expedition to the Galactic core uncovered evidence of an ancient civilization that predated even the oldest known races. This civilization, which they named the Precursors, seemed to have possessed technology far beyond anything in the modern galaxy. The revelation sparked a gold rush of sorts, with races from across the Confederacy scrambling to find and claim precursor artifacts. Humanity, with its penchant for exploration and archaeology, often led these expeditions. Dr. Samira Patel, a brilliant xenorchaeologist from the University of New Delhi, became the foremost expert on precursor technology. But as more artifacts were uncovered, a disturbing pattern emerged. Many bore signs of damage consistent with large-scale warfare. Whatever had befallen the precursors, it seemed to have been catastrophic. As the year 2200 approached, the galaxy was a place of both great promise and looming danger. Humanity had risen to become a major power within the Confederacy, respected for its adaptability and innovative spirit. But the shadows of the past, both the recent conflicts with races like the Volith and the ancient mysteries of the Precursors, hung over everything. Fleet Admiral Donovan, his hair now gray, but his resolve undiminished, stood aboard the observation deck of Starbase Unity, a massive space station at the heart of human-controlled space. As he watched ships from a dozen alien races dock and depart, he couldn't help but reflect on how far humanity had come. "We've made it this far," he mused to his aide, a young officer named Zara Chen, the granddaughter of Ambassador Ilara Chen. "But I can't shake the feeling that our greatest challenges still lie ahead." Zara nodded, her eyes fixed on the stars beyond. "Whatever comes, sir, we'll face it together. Not just as humans, but as part of something greater." As if in response to her words, a priority alert flashed across the nearby console. Reports were coming in from the outer reaches of Confederacy space. Strange anomalies, unlike anything seen before, were appearing in multiple sectors. The Stellar Confederacy was about to face a threat that would test the bonds between its member races and humanity's place within it, like never before. The Xenon threat emerges. The year 2205 dawned with an unsettling silence from the fringes of Confederacy space. Colonies that had been reporting strange anomalies suddenly went dark. Investigative fleets sent to these sectors failed to return. As the silence spread, encompassing more and more systems, a palpable sense of dread settled over the galaxy. Dr. Samira Patel, now the head of the Confederacy's Xenorchaeology Division, was among the first to connect the dots. The pattern of disappearances matched ancient star charts found in precursor ruins. Whatever had destroyed that long-lost civilization might be returning. Her warnings were met with skepticism by many on the Confederacy High Council. But humanity, with its history of facing existential threats, took her seriously. The Terran Alliance began mobilizing its forces, calling up reservists and accelerating the production of new ships. Fleet Admiral Donovan, though officially retired, was brought back to oversee the preparations. "We've faced the unknown before," he reminded the Alliance leadership. "It's what we do best." The first confirmed contact with the threat came in the Sigma Draconis system. A routine patrol stumbled upon a massive fleet of biomechanical ships, like nothing ever seen before. The patrol managed to transmit a single, garbled message before being obliterated. "They're not alive, but they're not machines either." The entities were dubbed the Xenon, a name that quickly became synonymous with terror throughout the Confederacy. Their ships seemed to be a fusion of organic and technological components, capable of regenerating damage and adapting to enemy tactics in real time. As the Xenon advanced, consuming entire star systems to fuel their expansion, the Confederacy found itself woefully unprepared. Many races, accustomed to centuries of relative peace, had allowed their military capabilities to atrophy. It fell to the younger, more militant species, with humanity chief among them, to mount a defense. The first major engagement against the Xenon took place in the Arcturus system. A combined Confederacy fleet, led by Admiral Zara Chen aboard the UES Defiant II, made a stand to protect a major population center. The battle lasted for days, with losses mounting on both sides. It was during this battle that humanity's innovative spirit shone through. Lieutenant Commander Raj Kapoor, a brilliant engineer aboard the Defiant II, noticed a pattern in the Xenon's regenerative abilities. Working around the clock, he developed a prototype weapon that could disrupt the bioelectric fields holding the Xenon ships together. The tide of the battle turned. Though the victory came at a great cost, it provided the Confederacy with its first real hope against the seemingly unstoppable enemy. In the aftermath of Arcturus, the Galactic Confederacy underwent a rapid militarization. Human shipyards worked day and night, churning out vessels equipped with Kapoor's disruptor technology. The Etheri, setting aside their usual aloofness, shared ancient defensive technologies they had long kept secret. Even the Volith, former adversaries of humanity, joined the war effort with their formidable warrior fleets. But the Xenon were relentless. For every system the Confederacy managed to defend, two more fell. Refugee ships clogged the spaceways as entire species fled their homeworlds. The borders of known space shrank, and with them, hope began to fade. It was in this darkest hour that Dr. Patel made a breakthrough. Deep in a precursor archive on a dying world, she uncovered records of a superweapon used in the ancient war against the Xenon. The weapon, called the Stellar Forge, had the power to remake entire star systems. But using it came at a terrible cost. It required the energy of a dying star to function. The Confederacy High Council debated the use of such a weapon. Many argued that the cost was too high, that destroying star systems to save them was no victory at all. But as the Xenon pressed ever closer to the core worlds, desperation set in. In a historic joint session, the Terran Alliance and the Confederacy High Council voted to pursue the Stellar Forge project. A massive expedition was launched to the coordinates found in the precursor archives, deep in uncharted space. The mission was led by Admiral Zara Chen, with Dr. Patel and a team of the brightest minds in the Confederacy aboard. The journey was perilous. Xenon forces harried the expedition at every turn. Entire ships were lost, sacrificing themselves to allow the core of the mission to continue. When they finally reached their destination, what they found left them in awe. The Stellar Forge was a megastructure beyond anything they had imagined. It encircled a dying red giant, drawing power from the star's death throes. But it was badly damaged, and much of its control systems were beyond their understanding. As engineers from a dozen species worked feverishly to restore the ancient weapon, the Xenon closed in. A massive battle erupted in the skies above the forge. Admiral Chen coordinated the defense with brilliant tactics, but even she couldn't hold back the tide forever. In the control center of the forge, Dr. Patel and her team raced against time. The weapon was almost operational. In the control center of the forge, Dr. Patel and her team raced against time. The weapon was almost operational, but the Xenon forces were breaching the outer defenses. Lieutenant Commander Kapoor, now chief engineer of the expedition, worked tirelessly to integrate their technology with the ancient systems. "We're out of time." Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the comms. "Whatever you're going to do it now." Dr. Patel's fingers flew over the alien controls. "It's not ready," she muttered. "We don't know what it will do." Kapoor met her eyes. "Sometimes, Doc, you've got to take a leap of faith." With a nod, Patel activated the Stellar Forge. The dying star at the heart of the system pulsed, its energy flowing into the ancient machine. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a wave of energy unlike anything they had ever seen burst forth. The Xenon ships closest to the forge disintegrated instantly. Those further out twisted and warped, their biomechanical components failing catastrophically. But the wave didn't stop there. It continued to expand, washing over planets and moons, rewriting reality as it passed. On the bridge of the defiant II, Admiral Chen watched in awe as dead worlds sprang to life, their atmospheres regenerating in seconds. Barren rocks transformed into lush gardens. And everywhere the wave touched, the xenon presence was erased. As quickly as it had begun, it was over. The star at the center of the system flickered and died, its last energy spent. The stellar forge, its purpose fulfilled, began to break apart. All ships, emergency jump. Chen ordered. The surviving vessels of the expedition activated their drives, barely escaping as the megastructure collapsed behind them. In the days that followed, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The energy wave from the stellar forge had propagated through subspace, touching every system that Xenon had invaded. Everywhere, the same story. The enemy had been destroyed, and worlds left barren by their assault had been mysteriously restored. The war, it seemed, was over. But the questions were only beginning. As the Confederacy took stock of the changed galaxy, new challenges arose. The restored worlds, while teeming with life, bore little resemblance to what had been there before. Entire ecosystems had been rewritten. On some planets, new sentient species had even emerged, born from the Forge's reality-altering energies. The Galactic Confederacy found itself in uncharted territory, both literally and figuratively. The borders of known space had been redrawn. Races that had lost their homeworlds now had to decide whether to reclaim their transformed planets or seek new homes among the stars. Humanity, having played a crucial role in the activation of the Stellar Forge, found itself at the center of galactic politics. Many looked to the Terran Alliance for leadership in navigating this new era. Admiral Zara Chen, hailed as the hero of the Xenon War, addressed the Confederacy High Council. "We stand at a crossroads," she said, her voice carrying the weight of recent events. "The threat we faced united us in ways we never thought possible. Now, in victory, we have an opportunity and a responsibility to forge a stronger, more united galaxy." Her words resonated with many, but not all. Some races, particularly the older ones like the Etheri, were wary of the changes wrought by the Stellar Forge. They argued for caution, for taking time to study the transformed worlds before rushing to colonize them. Others saw opportunity in the chaos. The Volith, their warlike tendencies tempered but not extinguished by the conflict, began eyeing the newly formed worlds as potential conquests. Dr. Patel, for her part, dedicated herself to studying the effects of the Forge. "We activated a power beyond our understanding," she warned in her reports. "We must learn all we can about these changes, lest we face unintended consequences down the line." As debates raged and expeditions were launched to explore the transformed sectors, a new discovery shook the galaxy once more. On a world at the edge of known space, a team of human and Aetheri researchers found something impossible: a living precursor. The ancient being, kept in stasis for millions of years, was awakened. Its first words, translated by the most advanced AI in the Confederacy, chilled all who heard them. The Forge was not a weapon. It was a key. And in using it, you may have unlocked something far worse than the Xenon. As news of this revelation spread, the celebratory mood across the galaxy gave way to a tense anticipation. Humanity and its allies in the Confederacy had overcome one great threat, but it seemed the true test was yet to come. Fleet Admiral Donovan, watching the reports from his retirement home on Earth, summed it up best. "We thought we were writing the final chapter of one story. Turns out, we were just penning the prologue to an even greater one." The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what challenges this new era would bring. But whatever lay ahead, one thing was certain: humanity, with its indomitable spirit and newfound allies, would face it head-on. Humanity's finest hour. The revelation of the awakened precursor, whom the Confederacy named the Elder, sent shockwaves through galactic society. As teams of xenolinguists and diplomats worked tirelessly to communicate with the ancient being, a sense of foreboding settled over the known universe. The elders spoke of a conflict that spanned millions of years, a war fought not just across space but across dimensions. The Tenon, it was revealed, were not simply an invading force, but the vanguard of something far more terrifying. The Void, a cosmic entity that sought to unmake reality itself. Dr. Samira Patel, working closely with the Elder, pieced together the history of this ancient conflict. The precursors had created the stellar forge not as a weapon, but as a tool to reinforce the fabric of reality against the Void's incursions. By activating it, humanity had inadvertently signaled to the Void that this dimension was once again a threat. As this information was disseminated throughout the Confederacy, panic began to set in. Some races advocated for immediately reactivating the stellar forge, heedless of the consequences. Others proposed abandoning the known galaxy entirely, seeking refuge in unexplored space. It was in this moment of crisis that humanity once again stepped forward. Admiral Zara Chen, addressing an emergency session of the Confederacy High Council, offered a bold plan. "We've faced extinction before," she declared, her voice steady and resolute. "Each time, we've survived not by running, not by relying on ancient weapons we don't understand, but by standing together and facing the threat head-on. I propose we do the same now, on a galactic scale." Her plan was audacious. Using the knowledge gained from the precursor archives and the Elders' teachings, Chen proposed the creation of a network of smaller, more controllable versions of the stellar forge. These reality anchors would be placed at strategic points throughout the galaxy, strengthening the dimensional barriers and providing early warning of void incursions. The project would require resources on an unprecedented scale and cooperation between every race in the Confederacy. It was a plan that played to humanity's strengths: adaptability, innovation, and the ability to unite diverse groups toward a common goal. After heated debate, the Council approved the plan. The next 5 years saw a flurry of activity across the galaxy. Human shipyards worked around the clock, producing the specialized vessels needed to construct the reality anchors. Ethery scientists collaborated with engineers from a dozen races to refine the technology. Even the Volith, setting aside their warrior culture, contributed their expertise in energy manipulation. As the network of reality anchors grew, the first tests of humanity's defenses came. Void incursions, manifesting as reality warping anomalies, began appearing in distant systems. But each time, the combined forces of the Confederacy, led by human tactical experts, managed to contain and neutralize the threat. These victories, however, came at a cost. Each engagement with the Void left behind transformed landscapes and altered laws of physics. Entire planets were quarantined, deemed too dangerous to inhabit. The casualties mounted, and with them, the resolve of the Confederacy was tested. It was during one such battle, in the Sirius system, that humanity truly proved its worth to the galaxy. A massive void rift had opened, threatening to consume not just the system but to create a chain reaction that could unravel an entire arm of the galaxy. Admiral Chen, commanding from the bridge of the UEA's Defiant II, coordinated a desperate defense. Ships from every race in the Confederacy fought side by side, holding the line while engineers worked to activate the local reality anchor. As the battle raged, Lieutenant Commander Raj Kapoor, now head of the Reality Anchor Project, made a startling discovery. The energy signatures of the void entities showed patterns similar to the quantum fluctuations observed in human consciousness. In a moment of inspired genius, Kapoor proposed a radical plan. If they could synchronize the brainwaves of every sentient being in the system with the reality anchor, they might be able to create a psychic barrier strong enough to close the rift. It was a plan born of desperation, mixing cutting-edge science with what many would call mysticism. But in that moment, facing annihilation, the combined forces of the Confederacy put their faith in human ingenuity. As void entities poured through the rift, As ships exploded and entire moons were torn apart, every being in the Sirius system, human, Etheri, Volith, and a dozen other races, joined their minds in a collective effort of will. The reality anchor pulsed, channeling the combined psychic energy of millions. For a moment, it seemed as if time itself stood still. Then, with a flash that outshone the local sun, the void rift collapsed. As the light faded and sensors came back online, the surviving ships of the Confederacy fleet beheld a miracle. The Sirius system, moments ago on the brink of destruction, had been transformed. The planets, moons, and even the star itself now pulsed with a subtle energy, as if reality itself had been reinforced. News of the victory at Sirius spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. What had begun as a desperate gambit. News of the victory at Sirius spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. What had begun as a desperate gambit had become a turning point in the war against the Void. The combined psychic effort, dubbed the Sirius Convergence, became a template for future defenses. In the months that followed, the Confederacy refined and expanded upon the technique. Reality anchors were modified to harness the collective consciousness of nearby populations. Training programs were developed to teach beings of all races how to contribute their mental energy to the defense network. Dr. Patel, working with the Elder and a team of multi-species scientists, delved deeper into the nature of consciousness and its relationship to the fabric of reality. Their research led to breakthroughs not just in defending against the Void, but in understanding the fundamental nature of the universe itself. But the Void was relentless. As the Confederacy's defenses grew stronger, so too did the intensity of the attacks. Entire sectors fell silent, consumed by rifts that defied all attempts at closure. The galaxy found itself in a war of attrition, with reality itself as the battlefield. It was Admiral Chen who realized that they couldn't win by remaining on the defensive. "We need to take the fight to them," she argued before the Confederacy High Council. "Find a way to strike at the heart of the Void itself." Her proposal was met with skepticism and fear. The idea of venturing into the realm of the Void seemed like madness. But Chen persisted, backed by the unwavering support of the Terran Alliance. Throughout our history, she reminded the Council, humanity has achieved its greatest victories not by playing it safe, but by daring to do the impossible. We went to the moon with less computing power than what's in a modern kitchen appliance. We united our world after centuries of conflict. We reached the stars and found our place among you all. Now we must take the next leap, not just for ourselves, but for all life in this galaxy. Her words struck a chord. One by one, the other races pledged their support. The Etheri offered their vast knowledge of dimensional physics. The Volith committed their fiercest warriors. Even the enigmatic Xin, a race of silicon-based lifeforms who had long stood apart from Confederacy politics, stepped forward with advanced probability engines to plot the safest course through the Void. The mission was named Operation Lightbringer. A fleet of specially designed ships, shielded against the reality warping effects of the Void, was constructed in orbit around Earth. At its heart was the UES Hope, a massive vessel that housed a reality anchor powerful enough to maintain a bubble of stable space-time, even in the heart of the Void. As preparations for the mission neared completion, humanity faced a sobering truth. The chances of survival were slim, and even if successful, those who ventured into the Void might never be able to return. Yet when the call for volunteers went out, the response was overwhelming. Humans from every walk of life, joined by representatives of every Confederacy race, stepped forward to crew the Lightbringer fleet. On the day of launch, billions across the galaxy watched as the fleet prepared to depart. Admiral Chen, standing on the bridge of the UES Hope, addressed the assembled crews and the watching universe. "We go now into darkness, carrying with us the light of every conscious being in this galaxy. Our mission is nothing less than the preservation of reality itself. But more than that, we carry with us the very essence of what it means to be alive: hope, courage, and the unyielding determination to forge our own destiny. Whatever happens, know that this moment, This choice to stand against the impossible represents the very best of what we can be. Together, we will write the next chapter in the story of life itself. With those words, the Lightbringer fleet activated their drives. In a flash of light that outshone the sun, they vanished, plunging into the heart of the void. For days, the galaxy held its breath. Reality anchors across known space hummed with energy, maintaining the psychic link with the brave souls of the Lightbringer mission. Then, on the fifth day, alarms blared across every world in the Confederacy. The void rifts, which had been growing in frequency and intensity, suddenly began to collapse. One by one, tears in the fabric of space-time sealed themselves. On planets previously consumed by the void, life began to reassert itself. As the galaxy erupted in cautious celebration, a final message was received, echoing across the psychic network. The heart is silent. The void is no more. Remember us. In that moment, even as tears were shed for those lost, a new era dawned for the galaxy. Humanity, once a newcomer to the cosmic stage, had led the charge in facing down a threat to existence itself. They had proven themselves not just equals to the oldest and most advanced races, but leaders in the truest sense. The victory over the void marked not an end, but a beginning. With the existential threat vanquished, the beings of the Confederacy turned their unified efforts toward exploration, discovery, and the nurturing of life throughout the cosmos. And at the forefront of this new age of wonder stood humanity, their indomitable spirit and boundless creativity lighting the way forward. As rebuilding efforts began across the galaxy, Dr. Patel, speaking at a memorial service for the Lightbringer crew, summed up the feelings of trillions. They ventured into the ultimate unknown, armed with nothing but their courage and the united will of all conscious beings. In doing so, they not only saved us all, but showed us the true potential that lies within each of us. Their sacrifice has given us not just survival, but a future brighter than we ever dared imagine. The age of the void was over. The age of unity, of limitless possibility, had just begun. A new era for the galaxy. In the decades that followed the Void War, the galaxy underwent a transformation unlike anything seen in millions of years. The Galactic Confederacy, forged in the crucible of existential threat, evolved into a true interstellar civilization. The borders between member races blurred as cultural exchange and cooperation reached unprecedented levels. At the heart of this new galactic society stood humanity. Their leadership during the war, culminating in the Lightbringer mission, had earned them the respect and admiration of even the oldest races. Human innovations in technology, culture, and governance became the foundation upon which the new Confederacy was built. The reality anchors, once tools of defense, were repurposed. Under the guidance of Dr. Samira Patel, now head of the Galactic Science Council, they became the backbone of a new form of faster-than-light travel. By manipulating the fabric of space-time itself, ships could now traverse the galaxy in a fraction of the time it once took. This breakthrough led to an era of exploration and discovery. Regions of space once thought unreachable were opened up. New species were encountered, new worlds colonized. The galaxy seemed full of endless possibility. But with this expansion came new challenges. The power vacuum left by the defeat of the void gave rise to opportunists and would-be conquerors. Pirate fleets, led by rogue elements from various species, began to prey on the newly established trade routes. It was in facing these threats that humanity once again showed its unique strengths. Admiral Zara Chen, now Supreme Commander of the Confederacy Defense Force, implemented a strategy that combined military might with diplomacy and economic incentives. "We didn't defeat the void just to let our galaxy fall to chaos and greed," she declared. Her approach was multifaceted. While Confederacy fleets aggressively pursued pirate strongholds, diplomatic teams worked to address the root causes of unrest in neglected regions of space. This balanced approach proved successful. Within a few years, piracy was reduced to manageable levels, and many former outlaws were integrated into legitimate enterprises. The Confederacy's borders expanded not through conquest, but through mutual cooperation and benefit. As the immediate threats subsided, the beings of the galaxy turned their attention to loftier goals. The question that had long haunted sentient minds, "Are we alone in the universe?" took on new meaning. If the void could exist, might there be other universes, other dimensions teeming with life? It was a human physicist, Dr. Aisha Okonkwo, who proposed the ambitious multiversal expedition project. Building on the technology of the reality anchors and the lessons learned from the Lightbringer mission, she suggested that it might be possible to safely breach the barriers between dimensions. "We've mastered our own galaxy," she argued before the Confederacy Council. "It's time we looked beyond, to the greater mysteries that lie outside our universe." The project was approved, and construction began on a massive interdimensional gate in orbit around a specially chosen neutron star. The gate, named Janus after the Roman god of transitions, represented the combined efforts of every major race in the Confederacy. As the Janus project neared completion, excitement and trepidation gripped the galaxy. The possibility of contacting entirely new forms of life, of exploring realities with different physical laws, was both thrilling and terrifying. On the day of the first activation, representatives from every Confederacy world gathered to watch. Dr. Okonkwo, leading the research team, initiated the startup sequence. The gate hummed to life, its energy readings quickly surpassing anything ever recorded. For a moment, it seemed as if the activation had failed. Then, with a flash that outshone the neutron star itself, a portal opened within the gate's massive ring. Through it, they could see something. A sky of impossible colors, landmasses that defied Euclidean geometry, beams of pure energy drifting through crystal forests. As the assembled crowd watched in awe, a transmission came through the gate. It was a message of greeting, of welcome, from the beings of this other universe. The language was utterly alien, but the sentiment was clear. "We've been waiting for you." This moment marked the beginning of a new chapter for not just the galaxy, but for life itself. The Confederacy, with humanity at its heart, had taken its first steps into a much larger, stranger, and more wonderful multiverse. In the years that followed, expeditions to other dimensions became commonplace. Each new universe discovered brought with it new forms of life, new scientific principles to explore, new challenges to overcome. The Confederacy grew not just in size, but in diversity and complexity. Through it all, the qualities that had defined humanity, curiosity, adaptability, and an indomitable spirit, continued to guide the way. Humans could be found at the forefront of every major expedition, on the cutting edge of every scientific breakthrough, at the heart of every diplomatic mission to new realities. As the multiverse opened up before them, the beings of the Confederacy faced an existence of infinite possibility. The threats they would face, the wonders they would discover, the civilizations they would encounter, all of these were yet unknown. But one thing was certain: whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, united in their quest for knowledge, understanding, and the betterment of all life. In a speech marking the 100th anniversary of the Void War's end, the Terran Alliance president, speaking to an audience that included representatives from thousands of dimensions, summed up the journey that had brought them to this point. A century ago, we stood on the brink of annihilation. Today, we stand at the threshold of infinity. We have grown from a single species on a small blue planet to the caretakers of a multiversal civilization. Our strength lies not in our technology, not in our powers, but in our unity, in the bonds we've forged across the stars and beyond. As we look to the future, let us remember the lessons of our past, that in the face of the impossible, we are at our best, that when we stand together, there is no challenge we cannot overcome, no frontier we cannot explore. The story of life, of consciousness itself, is still being written, and we, all of us, are its authors. As the speech concluded, Cheers erupted not just in the assembly hall, but across countless worlds in countless dimensions. The age of isolation was long past. The age of unity, of boundless exploration and limitless potential, stretched out before them like an endless cosmic ocean, waiting to be navigated. And at the helm of this great voyage of discovery stood humanity, no longer alone, no longer afraid, but leading the way into a future brighter than any could have imagined.